Okay, so explain to me about domains, hosting, and name servers and how they all come together.
Okay, so a domain name is something like www.xyz.com. The xyz.com is the domain name. And there's lots of different types of domain names. There's .coms. If you're in the UK, you might have a .co.uk. Military websites are .mil in the US. Government websites in the US are .gov. Irish websites are usually .ie. French websites .fr. So there's lots of different types of domain names. The most common one in use is .com, which stands for commercial, and that's the most well known. And one of the reasons why so many people use it is because it's so recognizable instantly as a domain name. So, for example, you'll see people just advertising the name of their business .com. So, for example, we might advertise selfassemblysites.com, and if we put that on a billboard, people would instantly know that that's a domain name because of the .com extension. Whereas if it was something different like .it for Italy, people mightn't recognize that that was a domain name. So that's why one of the reasons why people use .coms as a domain name. So a domain name is a way of identifying and getting access to a website, and the domain name is an important step in building your website, is deciding what domain name you're going to choose for that. And we'll probably talk about that in a different video, more in depth on specifically choosing your exact domain name that you want to use. But the domain name is like the identifier. Website hosting, it's a bit like the site where your house is built. So you build your house, but you've got to have a site, usually near a road, so you can get access onto a road. It has to be accessible. So you've got to have a site somewhere that you build your house on. And that's what your web hosting is like. And there's different types of web hosting, and it really depends on the scale of your website. So for most small businesses, you can use a web hosting company that we use called Bluehost. There are plenty of other hosting companies, and we recommend a few other ones. If you've got a massive website like youtube.com with millions of videos being uploaded, you're going to need massive web hosting. Or Google, for example, have massive web hosting all over the world. But for most people, small shared hosting is more than sufficient for the initial stages of their website. Maybe as their business grows and gets very popular, they might then need to move to something else. So that's what hosting is. Your hosting and your domain name need to be connected, because if you have your website hosted somewhere and somebody types in the domain name, the your computer, the person who's visiting the website, when they type in a domain name, what it does is it goes and looks up the address of your website, and it gets a thing called an IP address, which is kind of like a telephone number, and it looks that up. It looks up your domain name, and it does a lookup like in a phone book, and it gets this number, and that number is the telephone number or the IP address of your web hosting. So that's how the two are connected. So what happens is when you type in your domain name, you do this lookup, and you do this lookup on a thing called a name server. Now, this all happens behind the scenes. The user doesn't ever see it happening. It happens very, very quickly, almost instantaneously. And what happens is it looks up the name servers for your domain name, and it figures out which hosting company it's on and which server it's on, and it delivers back the web page that was just asked for. Right. So that's the kind of the connection between domain names, hosting, and name servers. So name servers are like the telephone book. Name servers are what tells you where things are online. Because
in one of the videos you get us to sort of change them.
Yeah.
What are you actually doing there when it says change name servers? That's literally connecting your domain name with the hosting, so one talks to the other. Is that right?
Well, okay. So I've got a telephone book here, right? So you can imagine this is the name server, and if I look up any domain name, and here's the list of all the domain names, and here's their telephone numbers, or here's their hosting address. So basically, if you want to change your hosting company from this hosting company to that hosting company,
or to a hosting company,
to any other one, yeah, you need to change the number.
Right.
So what happens is you need to go in and change the name server and tell it that you've now got a new telephone number, or you've now got a new
Right.
You're now going somewhere else, basically.
Okay, and that's all you're doing.
So what you're doing is you're basically updating the telephone book. So when you change name servers, you're telling the name servers that you've now got a new hosting company. So, for example, if you did that at the very start, usually when you register a domain name for the first time, it sets up default name servers, usually pointing at the domain name registration company.
Right.
Now, I usually recommend that people have their domain names and their hosting with two separate companies.
That's right. And why do you do that?
It just makes things easier in the long term. If you've got them with two, it's very, very normal to have them with two different companies.
That's what virtually all professionals do. They always have it with two different companies.
Normally, yeah. I mean, you can maintain them all with the same company, but usually, for example, if you're buying domain names, a company that sells domain names exclusively is usually going to have domain names cheaper than somebody who also does web hosting.
Right.
And a company that does web hosting is usually going to have web hosting cheaper than a company that does web hosting and domains. What you'll find is that companies like, for example, GoDaddy started out as just selling domain names exclusively.
You never use them. Why is that?
I don't like them because what they do is they're a very spammy type of company. When you log in, you get all this kind of pop-ups and all sorts of things. They very often promise certain deals, and then when you look at the fine print, you see that there are extras being added on and all sorts. They kind of force you the upsell. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. I rather not use them personally. But I do like to keep them separate. So domains and hosting separate, so that if for example, I want to change my hosting company, it's very easy because my domain is somewhere else. I don't have to worry about that. There's no lock-in. Whereas you can get this lock-in effect that if you've got hosting and domains with one company and you want to change your hosting, that they make it difficult for you to do that because they want to keep your business.
Right.
So it's a good principle to hold by. So that's basics of what domains are, how hosting and name servers and domains are kind of all interrelated. So